Live from WRAL News Headquarters in Raleigh, your number one source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
A pattern change towards sunshine and a stretch of dry weather is coming our way. I'll let you know when we see that pattern change coming up.
Also, Governor Roy Cooper's message about what's happening right now in western North Carolina.
Plus, a look at the road to recovery in the town of Lansing, how people there are working through this tragedy following Helene. Right now, 49 people are confirmed dead in North Carolina after the impact of that storm. Good afternoon to you. I'm Jeff Hogan.
And I'm Renee Chu. Thanks for joining us. In just the last 15 minutes, Governor Roy Cooper finished speaking about the state's response to Helene. WRAL's Noah Klein is here now with the governor's message about the situation in western North Carolina.
Yeah, guys, that news conference just wrapping up. The governor says he's going to be back in that part of the state today. He was there yesterday as well. Cooper characterized this response as massive. He says crews are working around the clock to help people in need. Let's give you some numbers here. More than 1,100 people right now living in 29 shelters. I-40 east from Asheville is now open westbound, hoping to open soon. They're saying hopefully today that'll happen. The overall reminder here, though, is stay off the roads. DOT is trying to open more, clearing debris. The department's own employees, though, they're dealing with issues as they try to help, fuel and just getting to these spaces. 800 National Guardsmen are working right now. They're running two operations. That's one on the ground, the other in the air. They're hoping to have guardsmen in every impacted county today, helping find out just what's going on and how they can best help. 200,000 pounds of food delivered to the Asheville airport. That's starting to get siphoned out, and we're learning more about that response. Cooper briefed Biden and Harris both. He thanked them for committing every resource available so far. We know 57,000 people have applied for FEMA assistance. Governor Cooper says it's possible here that Fort Liberty troops will join in this response.
I discussed that yesterday with the president. He gave a green light. There is work that needs to be done, but yes, we're talking about bringing in assets from the military to help us.
In terms of what that would look like, he said it would mainly include help coming from the air. He says FEMA will be right here in North Carolina to help as long as necessary.
Noah, thanks for that. Right now, we want to take you to one of the smaller mountain towns dealing with the devastation after Helene. Meteorologist Chris Michaels joins us live in Lansing. That's in Ashe County with a look at their road to recovery there. Chris.
Hey there, guys. Good afternoon. Yes, Ashe County, part of the draw of living here is kind of the isolation from the fast pace of life. But now that isolation is starting to feel more like an island. But as you see behind me, it's an island of people banding together to help a number of these businesses that got flooded out by Helene.
People I've never seen. I didn't ask one person to show up.
Shelby Trammell bought this old Orchard Creek General Store less than a year ago. It was a dream to own a bustling community center. That dream turned into a nightmare when floodwaters rushed in.
Within a matter of about 30 minutes, the water was about waist deep.
She walked us through the store, now torn down to its studs.
Over here was our espresso bar.
Water reaching heights it shouldn't reach. Trammell tells us that at the height of the flood, you could actually see the water line right here. So we took this tape measure, and it's measuring at 59 inches. That's just shy of 5 feet. For Ruth Henson, the water got even higher. She estimates 8 feet tall. She watched it all happen from above.
It's very helpless feeling. You're standing there and you're watching it, and there's nothing you can do.
Above, that's where she's seeking guidance.
This tattoo says, trust in the Lord with all your heart.
A message her dad has told her during hard times like this. In Trammell's store, the dream has not died. It'll just take a while to come true again.
You'd be seeing a very beautiful space full of just, artisan goods and, artwork.
And guys, a number of these businesses in need of help. In fact, a gentleman stopped us in our news car and said lansingrecovery.com. That's where you should go if you want to donate to these businesses directly. Now, there's still so many stories to tell. We're going to talk more about the story of survival inside of those businesses as they were trying to get out. And we're also hoping to hop on one of the 4x4s that you see going down this road. They're taking goods to people that can't be reached. So our hope is to go into one of those 4x4s, go into these remote areas, and bring you those stories at either 4 o'clock or during our 5:30 newscast. In Lansing, Chris Michaels, WRAL News.
All right, Chris, thanks for that. So many stories of people fighting back through this. Rain chances are going down, temperatures are going up, and when sunshine returns, it'll help us dry out a little bit. Meteorologist Kat Campbell is in the WRAL Severe Weather Center right now with the timeline for that. Kat.
It's going to be a gradual change over the next couple of days. As we lose low pressure, we'll start to lose the clouds and the rain chances. But today, rain chances are already falling lower. Outside, a lot of clouds linger. It's still a gray day. There are a few breaks in the clouds at times, but we are going to be watching for some of these showers to move in during the afternoon. One thing I changed, I took out the lightning bolt icon today and just changed it to rain. It's looking less likely that these would be storms. It's some spotty showers with the best chance in the northern half of our viewing area. Of course, we don't need any more rain. However, the flood risk with this, very low today. It's just going to be some spotty showers. They should pass through rather quickly. And again, it's really our northern counties that are going to have the best chance of seeing the showers throughout the afternoon. They should begin to taper off after sunset. And then we head toward high pressure. It's going to be sliding in from the west. That's what's finally going to bring the return of some sunshine and drier weather for the end of the week. We're getting a lot of questions about this system that could develop as it moves into the Gulf of Mexico. The chance for it developing standing at about 40%. I'll have a closer look at the long-term trajectory of it coming up.
Kat, thanks. The NC State Wolfpack football team is working to give back and help people affected by Helene in western North Carolina. Team captain Davin Van is leading the charge by collecting supplies. The trucks are provided by his family's moving company. They will deliver the supplies to the Durham Rescue Mission for distribution. You can donate today and tomorrow, anytime from noon until 8 p.m. at the Close King Indoor Practice Facility. WRAL is also here to help. Starting at noon tomorrow, we'll be taking donations during a WRAL Cares phone bank. 5 on your side's Keely Arthur is here now with how that will work. Keely.
Renee, I just ran onto this set because we are building this right now. These are images and stories coming from western North Carolina, and we know that they are heartbreaking. We know that region needs tons of help rebuilding for months and probably years to come. And tomorrow from noon until 7:30, our employees will be taking your donations during our WRAL Cares phone bank. You'll be able to call in during that time and donate to one of 2 funds. We're giving you some options to help raise money. We're working with the American Red Cross and with the North Carolina Disaster Relief Fund, which is the United Way in helping manage. When you call in, you can choose which of those organizations you want your donation to go to. You'll also be able to help donate all day on WRAL.com. You're going to search help on our website for details and to find other ways you can help, including donating blood and dropping off supplies with organizations that are collecting them. I'm so excited about this. This is going to be really big.
Yeah, we're looking forward to that, and we know a lot of our viewers want to help, and that's another way they can do so tomorrow. At midnight, thousands of port workers along the East Coast walked off the job. This includes the Port of Wilmington. The strike could delay important aid needed in western North Carolina, specifically construction materials needed to rebuild these communities often come into these ports. Cars and grocery prices are expected to go up as well.
The stage is set for tonight's vice presidential debate. Senator J.D. Vance and Minnesota Governor Tim Walz will face off in the only scheduled vice presidential debate before the November election. The debate comes 3 weeks after former President Donald Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris had their only scheduled debate. CBS News is hosting the debate. You can watch it live on WRAL with full coverage starting at 8 p.m. Former President Trump will campaign in Wisconsin today for the second time in a week. He'll host rallies in Milwaukee and then in a town north of the capital of Madison, Wisconsin. Now, he was just in Wisconsin Saturday for a rally. Today will be his 7th visit to the state during the campaign. Tomorrow, Vice President Kamala Harris and her running mate, Governor Tim Walz, will be in Pennsylvania for a campaign event.
The Israeli military says they are conducting a limited ground operation in Lebanon against Hezbollah targets there. Matt Bradley is in Beirut with the new developments.
Well, last night saw the eventuality that everybody in the region had been dreading and waiting for.
that much anticipated Israeli ground invasion into Lebanon. But so far, we haven't heard much about the effects or exactly what happened overnight. We heard from the Israelis today saying that this was a limited invasion or incursion and that they hadn't actually exchanged any fire with Hezbollah fighters. The extent on which they actually entered into Lebanese territory, according to the IDF, was within walking distance. Now, all of this is according to security sources who were speaking to Reuters. It hasn't been independently verified by NBC News. Hezbollah, on the other hand, said that all of this was a lie, that the IDF hadn't actually invaded Lebanon and that they hadn't exchanged fire with Hezbollah. Now, that is consistent, of course, with what the IDF told Reuters, but we really don't know enough information. We're going to have to wait to hear more about what happens next. But the fact is, this is a very tense and very critical moment, an impasse here that could affect the entire region. What the IDF does next, how Hezbollah responds, that's going to dictate really quite a bit about how the rest of the region responds, particularly Iran. Matt Bradley, NBC News, Beirut, Lebanon.
And happening right now in the WRAL Live Center, the family of Haley Brooks has reached a settlement with the driver who killed her during the Raleigh Christmas parade in November of 2022. Attorney Jason Miller says they reached a settlement with Landon Glass, who was driving the pickup truck that struck and hit and killed Haley, CC & Co. and DNL Floats. Miller said in part there is no resolution that can bring Haley back. However, the Brooks family has attempted to use this lawsuit and these settlements to bring accountability for Haley's death. The case will proceed against the Greater Raleigh Merchants Association. Brooks' death launched an effort for the city to reassess safety measures at public events. Her parents even created the Shine Like Haley Parade Safety Act.
Next at noon, a horrific sight in Thailand. A school bus carrying dozens of students and teachers is a burnt-out shell. How many died and what caused the fire?
Also, a section of I-40 has reopened in the western part of our state. Ken Smith will be along to explain exactly where people can get through again. Plus,
one of the sheriff's deputies brought the baby in, and the mom came in 5 minutes later, and to see that reunion, yeah, that made it all worth it right there.
It was a joyful reunion in Tennessee after a mother and her baby were separated during the storm. That story is next.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.
Japan has a new prime minister. The parliament formally elected Shigeru Ishiba, who won an election last week to become the governing party's leader. That move comes after Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida officially resigned earlier today. Kishida announced in August he would not run for re-election. He took office in 2021 and faced several scandals during his time in office. NBA Hall of Famer Dikembe Mutombo has died. Mutombo's career covered 18 seasons where he was named the league's Defensive Player of the Year 4 times. He was a 7'2" center out of Georgetown University. He was known on the court for defensive presence and his famous finger wag. While off the court, he impacted many with his humanitarian work. He was the NBA's first global ambassador. He died Monday after a battle with brain cancer. Mutombo was 58 years old.
people in Nevada and across the country are remembering the victims of the deadliest mass shooting in U.S. history. Today marks 7 years since the Las Vegas massacre at the Route 91 Harvest Music Festival, initially killing 58 people and injuring about 500. 2 more people have died in the past few years. Yesterday, Las Vegas officials vowed to complete a permanent memorial to victims and survivors by the 10th anniversary. And it will be installed at the former concert venue where the attack happened and feature 58 candle-like beams. 22,000 lights as well, representing the number of people who attended the concert that night.
A wildfire in California sparked evacuation orders Monday. Those evacuation orders in Amador County have since been lifted as firefighters gained ground on the Tiger Fire. According to officials, that fire was at 25% containment as of 6:30 last night. The fire burned about 3 acres and consumed brush and in that steep and rugged terrain. A school bus carrying students and teachers on a school trip, a field trip, caught on fire in Bangkok today, leaving more than 25 people feared dead. Police said the bus was carrying 6 teachers and 39 elementary and junior high school students. Rescuers said they couldn't get on board for hours as the heat inside that natural gas-fueled vehicle could have caused more explosions. Police are still working to identify the dead. Officials said the initial investigation indicates a tire had exploded and caused sparks, which ignited that blaze that spread through the bus.
Parts of eastern Tennessee are experiencing catastrophic flooding brought on by Helene. First responders gathered in hard-hit Cobb County, where 2 deaths have been confirmed. Many areas still underwater. Search crews have been rescuing people by land, water, and air.
A young mother and her 1-year-old baby were separated from each other and didn't know where each other were at, and we located them, and they united up here in our command center, and one of the sheriff's deputies brought the baby in, and the mom came in 5 minutes later, and to see that reunion, yeah, that made it all worth it right there.
Mayor Rob Mathis says the county is in dire need of drinking water because the input to the water system is damaged.
Several communities in our area are recognizing National Night Out tonight. The Durham Police Department will host an event tonight from 4 to 8 at police headquarters. Rollsville Police will have an event from 5 to 7 at Redford Place Park. City of Sanford will have a celebration from 5:30 to 7:30 at the Municipal Center. And Rocky Mount Police will host an event outside the historic train station. That starts at 5:30. You can find more of these types of events on our website, WRAL.com. 12:17 is the time right now this noon. We see a lot of clouds out there for us. Hopefully that low has pushed through and moved the rain out, though.
Yeah, we're looking forward to a stretch of dry weather, but certainly has been a wet year, and a lot of it because of the tropical storms that came through. Kat?
You know, and it's been the wettest year to date on record here in Raleigh. And keep in mind, these are statistics for us in Raleigh, not out in the western part of our state. And when you look at just September alone, this is the 3rd wettest September on record, falling behind 1999, which was when we had Floyd, 18.5 inches of rain, almost 15.5 inches of rain in 1996 with Fran. And this year we've had Debbie and Helene brought really heavy rain to the area, over 13 inches of rain. This is just the month of September. We've already had about 50 inches of rain for the year. If we take a look at the dual Doppler 5000 radar, a little bit of rain in the northern part of Wake County. Otherwise, the bulk of the rain is going to stay in our northern counties throughout the afternoon and evening. If you live in the Sandhills in Fayetteville, I would only give you about a 20% chance for rain. Just about an hour ago, I was looking over the new model data. I did end up taking out the lightning bolt for today's icon. I think it's just going to be rain out there, given that we just don't have very much energy in the atmosphere. A few stray showers as the kids head home. Otherwise, partly sunny, 77. A few breaks in the clouds expected. We're at 77 right now, 74 in Fayetteville. Temperatures should hold fairly steady for now because of the cloud cover. But by the end of the week, we've got a different setup. Low pressure moves on out. High pressure builds in the upper levels of the atmosphere. Once this takes over, temperatures will begin to climb. We see sinking air with high pressure. Our highs are back in the low to mid 80s, nearly 10 degrees above normal by the weekend, and rain chances begin to dwindle. We will gradually see the rain chances going down each day. So let's take a look here at Futurecast. Tonight we should dry out. We have a front to our west tomorrow, so we still have a 20% chance for rain in the forecast, mainly for the western part of the state. It doesn't look very heavy or anything like that, luckily. And then Wednesday and Thursday, rain chances down to 20% or less. We will be watching the Gulf of Mexico. There's some moisture here, but the odds of that really coming together and developing into anything robust looking very low at this point. And as we look ahead to Friday, just that small chance for rain in the western part of the state. But in the Gulf, nothing really comes together through the weekend. We'll be watching the end of the weekend and early next week, perhaps, for some impacts to Florida. But at this point, it's looking much less likely, thank goodness, that we would have something coming our way from the Gulf. For tonight, low temperatures are in the low to mid 60s, and tomorrow highs upper 70s to lower 80s for the most part. Coming up at 12:30, we'll have a closer look at the tropics, your full tropical update. So I'll keep you up to date with a couple other things out there. Temperatures in the coming days really begin to warm up. We're at 82 Thursday and Friday, and it's going to be pretty humid as well for the end of the week. The weekend looks good, more sunshine in store, just a bit hotter, a 20% chance for rain on Saturday, and the mountains are likely to see the rain taper off as well. Thank goodness there.
Kat, thanks. Our coverage of Helene's impact continues later this afternoon. With cleanup continuing, resources are running low in parts of western North Carolina. Hundreds of gas stations are closed. The ones that are open are seeing long wait times. Coming up at 4, the obstacles to overcome those shortages.
And then at 5, more Starlink internet service is on the way to those without power. How one state lawmaker's call for help reached Elon Musk. Let's still ahead this noon. Up next, Verizon's response to its massive outage. We'll take a closer look at the widespread reports from customers all across the U.S.
Plus today, former president and philanthropist Jimmy Carter reaches the century mark. How events across the country are celebrating his 100th birthday. Coming up.
Welcome back this noon. There is an immediate reaction to the potential of Iran striking Israel with missiles. As you take a look at the Dow Jones Industrial Average, there has been a drop in that index, 153 points down right now, as well as the S&P 500 is down 50 points. NASDAQ taking a big hit right now, down 289 points.
5 on your side is monitoring today's business headlines. We're getting some insight into how big future rate cuts may be. So in a speech yesterday, Fed Chair Jerome Powell said if the economy performs as expected, it would lead to a pair of rate cuts. But he added the decreases to the Fed's benchmark interest rate would be smaller quarter-point drops. The Fed issued a half-point rate cut in September as it began a cycle of decreases. Now that inflation has been brought down. Powell says the Fed is trying to balance efforts to further reduce inflation while also supporting the labor market. A big deal in the satellite TV business. DirecTV is buying Dish TV and Sling from rival EchoStar. The price tag is technically just $1. But that's in exchange for DirecTV assuming around $9.7 billion in debt in the deal. Combined, DirecTV and Dish will serve close to 20 million pay TV customers. The deal comes as satellite TV companies have been hit hard as people switch to streaming services.
Verizon says its cell phone service is fully back online now. That's following a massive outage that affected thousands of its customers Monday. That outage reportedly covered a large area of the Midwest, with many users saying their cell phones were intermittently displaying SOS mode, leaving them only able to make emergency calls via satellite. Verizon said anyone still having issues should try restarting their device. Today, Jimmy Carter is 100 years old. He is the first former president to live to the age of 100. He spent the last 19 months in hospice care in his home in Plains, Georgia. Today, the town plans a concert in his honor, and other events across the country are celebrating the former president's milestone. Habitat for Humanity volunteers are working to build 30 homes in Minnesota in honor of Carter and his late wife's 40-year contributions to that organization. Jimmy Carter's Presidential Library in Atlanta celebrated the milestone with a film festival over the weekend. The Carter Center is also requesting photos from the public to add to a mosaic celebrating the former president's legacy.
Up next, we'll look at how North Carolina election leaders are working to ensure everyone affected by Helene can vote in the upcoming election.
And I-40 East out of Buncombe County is now open. We'll take a look at some of the damaged section from that storm and how people there and businesses also have been able to drive their vehicles through.
First, here's a look at the winning lottery numbers.
Shot in 4K ultra high definition. Your number one source for local news. WRAL News. Coverage you can count on.
North Carolina elections officials say the election will go forward regardless of the disaster caused by Helene. They're working to ensure that everyone affected can vote securely in the upcoming election.
They took questions from reporters this morning, including WRAL Capitol Bureau Chief Laura Leslie, who joins us now live from the State Board of Elections office. Laura.
Jeff and Renee, state elections officials say they don't have all the answers yet, but they're working diligently to get them figured out. The good news is that there are no reports of damaged voting machines or damaged ballots within county election offices, but other challenges remain, and with 35 days to go, time is growing short. Some absentee ballots have already been sent out and may have been lost in the flooding. Early voting and election day voting sites may have been flooded or damaged by mudslides or fallen trees. Others may be on roads that were washed out by the storm and may not be repaired in time. State Elections Director Karen Brinson-Bell says the election will go forward regardless of the challenges. She says they've run elections before after hurricanes and tropical storms, and they're prepared to set up whatever workarounds are needed to make that happen. She says their main objective is to get county boards of elections up and running.
As of this morning, 12 of our county election offices in Western North Carolina remain closed. We are focused now on getting those offices back up and running so that absentee ballot requests can be processed and voter registrations can be entered into the system. The voter registration deadline is October the 11th, next Friday.
Bell said during Hurricane Dorian, they actually had help from the North Carolina National Guard to set up temporary tents for voting. So they have gone through things like this before. She says they should know more in a few days of what they're going to be up against this time. The state legislature is back in town next week. And Bell said state elections officials are working to figure out what, if any, election laws they may need to ask to be changed. Laura Leslie, WRAL News, live in Raleigh.
The disaster is having a positive effect on the presidential race. The Trump campaign launched a GoFundMe account for people suffering the effects of Helene. One of his senior advisors shared a link on X last night. The former president visited Georgia yesterday to tour storm damage there. During his time there, he accused President Biden of not speaking to Georgia Governor Brian Kemp, even after being told Kemp did speak to Biden. Last night, Biden responded to the accusation, saying Trump is lying. Yesterday, Vice President Kamala Harris met with FEMA officials in D.C. She was briefed on the impact of Helene and the federal response to support rescue and recovery efforts.
And here in the Live Center, we have new information from FEMA. Our reporters spoke to FEMA about an hour ago. They told our reporters that this is disaster-wide, not just here in North Carolina. Obviously, North Carolina saw a lot of damage, but so did Florida, South Carolina, Georgia. They say they have 3,500 federal personnel on the ground right now, including 1,000 from FEMA. There are over 1,250 urban search and rescue personnel. They've shipped so far almost 2 million meals, over 1 million liters of water, and they've given out 95,000 tarps, 30 generators, and 150 ambulances.
Some welcome news for people trying to get out of Buncombe County to let family members know that they are safe. I-40 East out of the county is now open. It had been closed because of storm damage. WRAL's Ken Smith is here now with a look at the section of I-40 we're talking about here. Ken.
Yeah, Renee, let's reset the scene for viewers on the effect this storm has had on major roads like I-40 in the western part of the state. What you're looking at there is a family who had been driving along I-40 in the western part of the state when suddenly they ran into a mudslide. You can see the debris and all the dirt just slamming into that car, and as a result, that's what happened. Well, take a look at this map from Drive NC showing I-40 in the western part of the state. Now, keep in mind, the westbound lanes of I-40 are still closed, with the eastbound lanes, as you just mentioned, of Buncombe County are now open. This will also help get food and supplies in and out of Buncombe County and other hard-hit areas.
Our county-by-county coverage takes us to Cumberland and Johnston counties. Today, families in Johnston County have another chance to learn about student assignment plans. An information session is happening at Swift Creek Middle School from 6 to 8 p.m. You can hear about the proposed plan and give your feedback then. Fayetteville Technical Community College is celebrating the final phase of construction on its new fire and emergency training complex. A groundbreaking was held this morning for the final phase of the Burn Village portion of the complex. It follows the technical rescue training that opened in September of 2022 and the Swiftwater Rescue Training Facility that opened last October. The 30-acre complex is the largest of its kind in the region.
Every 2 minutes in the U.S., a woman gets diagnosed with breast cancer. The month of October is dedicated to raising awareness, how you can reduce your risk, and who may benefit from genetic testing. And the government is extending the window of time for people who've defaulted on their student loans, how you can apply for a fresh start. Remember, you can watch WRAL News live anytime on WRAL.com or the WRAL app on your streaming device. Today is the first day of October, and it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Breast cancer is the second most common cancer for women in the U.S. It's also why it's now recommended that all women get a breast cancer risk assessment when they turn 25, especially those with a family history. Breast surgeon Erica Peters says for the average woman with no family history of breast cancer or other risks, they should start getting mammograms at age 40. However, if a woman is at higher risk and depending on their age, they may have to start up to 10 years earlier. Dr. Peters says for anyone younger than 30, they will typically decide on a case-by-case basis. She says genetic testing is available for women who do not know their family history.
Family histories can be complicated because some families either don't talk about those things. Some families, things might have happened generations ago. It might be things you don't have access to. And then there's folks that are adopted and don't know that family history.
Dr. Peters notes that most breast cancers are random and only about 5 to 10% are caused by genetic factors. With that being said, early screening is crucial for everyone.
New research suggests children's eyesight is getting worse. In a study done last year, researchers in China found more than a third of children across the globe were nearsighted. And they say that figure will climb. They say by 2050, nearly 40% of children will suffer from myopia, also known as nearsightedness. Researchers noted a significant spike at the end of the COVID pandemic, with lockdowns leading to kids spending more time looking at screens. As the nation descends deeper into autumn, the CDC is reminding folks it's the perfect time to roll up your sleeves. We'll take a closer look at reasons why people are skipping vaccines. Plus, a Tesla burst into flames after water entered a garage during Helene. A warning from officials about electric cars and flooding. That's next. Welcome back. If you've defaulted on your federal student loan, you have a little time to sign up for a program to get back on track. The Fresh Start program spares borrowers from collection efforts that could affect wages or even tax refunds. And defaulted loans are also put back into repayment status, with the record of defaulting also being removed from credit reports. The Education Department extended the deadline to sign up for Fresh Start until 3 a.m. Eastern Time tomorrow morning. You can sign up by phone or online in about 10 minutes.
If you haven't gotten an updated flu or COVID-19 vaccine this year, the CDC is urging you to do so. Sean Langill takes a look at what's keeping some people from getting the shots.
As the nation descends deeper into autumn, the CDC is still reminding folks that it's the perfect time to roll up their sleeves.
If you are over 6 months old, then you should get an updated COVID vaccine and an updated flu vaccine. So that is pretty straightforward.
Because the flu and COVID-19 viruses mutate over time, doctors say getting updated shots can help ward off serious symptoms and hospitalizations. Besides being able to get the flu and COVID-19 shots at the same time, doctors discuss other vaccine misinformation.
The flu shot cannot give you influenza. There is no live virus in the flu vaccination, so it's impossible to get the flu from the flu vaccine.
Still, a recent survey from The Ohio State University Wexner Medical Center reveals about 45% of Americans haven't gotten or don't plan on getting a flu shot this year. Doctors cite ongoing vaccine fatigue and hesitancy.
I think a lot of people think vaccine hesitancy just means opting out of all vaccines. But that's not the case. It can really be a spectrum between outright refusal of all vaccines to delaying or declining one or more vaccines.
Amanda Bradshaw of the University of Mississippi says anti-vaccine messages have been growing on social media since 2020. She describes the need for campaigns to address the many health, social, regional, and religious stances people may have that keep them from getting vaccinated.
Really, the answer is a multi-pronged integrated marketing communications campaign.
Besides doctors telling patients it's okay, Bradshaw also urges more parents with positive vaccine experiences to encourage others to get their kids the shots.
That was Sean Langill reporting.
Surveillance video from Helene's impact on Florida is showing the danger of salt water flooding electric cars. A Florida family shared this video of their Tesla bursting into flames, causing their house to burn down. 6 to 8 inches of stormwater surge got into that garage. It caused the car to burst into flames. It affected the battery. The local officials are telling people whose electric cars are exposed to salt water to move them at least 50 feet from their homes because of that danger that they could catch on fire. Some sort of interaction with the salt water and those batteries in those electric vehicles. Let's get over to Kat Campbell right now. Everybody's hoping for a little dry out period here.
And we've got drier weather ahead in the coming days. That's the good news. The end of the week, you'll get sunshine, warmer weather, drier weather, and boy, do we need it. Let's take a look at our rainfall for the next 5 days. Rainfall totals in the light green that you see here in the mountains. That is less than 1/10 of an inch. Same for most of our viewing areas. So we still have the potential for a little bit of rain, but this is not going to be significant rain in our rain chances this week. And for the mountains tomorrow, I do think that they'll start the day with some patchy, dense fog. If you are headed out west to maybe help with some of the recovery efforts, temperatures will be in the 70s in Boone and Asheville. Bryson City, 81 and 70 degrees in the highlands. Thursday, we'll see temperatures warm up a little bit in some spots, a bit more sunshine peeking through. It looks like a dry day in the mountains, and that much needed sunshine on the way there as well, starting Thursday. For us here locally today, it is still mostly cloudy. There have been a few breaks in the clouds at times. Check out all the geese. I don't think I've ever seen this many geese out here at once in Dix Park on our live camera. 77 right now. The sunset is at 6:58 this evening. The sun sets now before 7 p.m. The dual Doppler 5000 radar, still we're tracking some showers. I'm not expecting lightning or anything severe today. It's just some sprinkles that are moving through the area. Pretty low impact, but just kind of holding on to that gray, dreary look outside. The chance for rain, 30% today. Let's take a look at our setup. We do still have some of the clouds streaming in from the southwest and an area of low pressure that's beginning to move offshore. As it continues to move out of here, we continue to dry out. This system that we're watching that will move into the Gulf has about a 40% chance of coming together and developing over the next 7 days. If it were to develop in the first place, it looks like it would be pretty weak in the Gulf of Mexico. And to be honest with you, I'm just not too concerned about this system for us here in North Carolina. It does look like most of the moisture will be directed closer to Florida, and the new European model ensembles showing 40 to 50% chance of developing. That number even lower than what we saw yesterday. So it looks like it stays to our south. High pressure should keep it that way. Just want to let you know, really not looking too concerning for us here at home in North Carolina. We have the I, J, and K named storms on the map as well. None of those are expected to impact the U.S. So for now, we're looking pretty good around here. We are expecting temperatures to gradually warm up this week. It's a 30% chance of rain today, a 20% chance Wednesday and Thursday. Both Wednesday and Thursday, we start out mostly cloudy, and we have a tough time breaking out to see the sun. But by late Thursday, we've got a slightly better chance, especially as we get Friday into the weekend. That's going to warm us up. High temperatures in the low to mid 80s, just a small chance for rain Saturday. And the humidity returns as well. It's going to be feeling pretty toasty out there this weekend. Models are still showing the potential for a cool down. Back to some fall weather as we get into next week. But every day when I come into work and I put together my forecast sheet, the cooling just keeps getting delayed by a day each time. So hopefully that cooler air finally makes it here next week.
We will be looking forward to it, but nice to have dry weather as well. Still ahead, the rivalry between Wawa and Sheetz. We will share which convenience chain took the top spot as the nation's #1.
I can tell you the battle would be over in the Powerball if you had these numbers: 9, 11, 30, 43, 69. Powerball's 20, the multiplier's 2.
Breaking right now in the WRAL Live Center, Iran has launched missiles into Israel. This is a live look right now at the skyline of Israel. You see all of the missiles in the sky, a lot of them being intercepted. Sirens are sounding across Israel right now. Iran was likely to attack 3 Israeli air bases and an intelligence base just north of Tel Aviv. The Israeli military has put in contingency plans for safety of the personnel at those bases, but the U.S. did warn Israel the attack would likely come within the next 12 hours. So as you can see right now, Iran attacking Israel with these missiles in the sky.
And here's a look at a few of the other headlines we're following today. This morning, Governor Roy Cooper talked about the state's response to Helene. The governor says he will be back in Western North Carolina today. He was there yesterday as well. And the governor characterized the state's response as massive. He says crews are working around the clock to help people in need. He says it's possible that Fort Liberty troops will join in this response. North Carolina elections officials say the election will go forward regardless of the disaster caused by Helene. They are working to ensure everyone affected can vote safely in the upcoming election. They say they've run elections after hurricanes and tropical storms before. They are prepared to set up whatever workarounds are needed to make that happen.
Parents of Haley Brooks, who was hit and killed performing in the downtown Raleigh Christmas parade, have reached settlements in an ongoing lawsuit. They've settled with Landon Glass, the driver of the truck that hit the 11-year-old and killed her. They've also settled with Haley's dance troupe, CC & Company, as well as D&L Floats. The Greater Raleigh Merchants Association remains a defendant in the case.
The Detroit Lions put on an offensive show in their Monday night game against the Seattle Seahawks. They scored 6 touchdowns on their way to a 42-29 win. It's the first loss of the season for Seattle. Both teams are now 3-1.
Tennessee Titans, meantime, have their first win of the season. They lost their starting quarterback, though. Will Levis went down with a shoulder injury in the first quarter against Miami. Backup quarterback Mason Rudolph came in and led them to victory. The Titans beat the Dolphins 31-12. An official winner is crowned in the battle for the best convenience store in the country. Philadelphia-based Wawa took the top spot with the highest marks for customer satisfaction among all U.S. chains. That's according to a survey released by the American Customer Satisfaction Index. Sheetz landed in 4th place. Quick Trip placed 2nd, and Buc-ee's and Murphy USA tied for 3rd place.
And Wilson just got 2 new Wawas. Today's pet of the day has a heart full of love and energy. Meet Bree, an adorable 7-month-old husky mix. She loves to run, jump, and play. Bree is also incredibly affectionate and enjoys cuddling up for some quiet time. She's eager to learn, showing great potential for training and obedience. Bree would do well with a family who has the time and energy to keep up with her playful spirit. She's good with other dogs, but would also do well as an only dog. Contact Perfect Match Rescue for more information on Bree. Oh, those eyes are mesmerizing.
So cute. Coming up this afternoon on our News at 4, port workers on the East Coast and all the way around to the Gulf Coast are on strike. The effect it's having right here in the Triangle.
NBC News Daily is next on WRAL. Your next local news update in 30 minutes.
You can always get breaking news updates anytime with our WRAL News app. It's a murky day out there, but have a good one.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 12.